Okay, I think we're just getting started. Um, trying to trying a new thing today, trying to stream live on YouTube and Facebook, as well as adding um, to our other media as well. So I'll give a couple people a few minutes to start. Um, I want to see if this code comes up. So what we're going to try to do is put in a code for people that are watching tonight in Oscital 20, but we will give it a few minutes to see, um, give people a chance, to log on. Okay. If anyone has any questions, you can use the chat function. Happy to for viewers, we are going to enable an in. 1 second. The live program use inositol 20 at checkout for a code. Okay. All right, so just to see where people will be logging in. All right, so it definitely says that I have 2 viewers there, but no viewers there. All right. Anyway, happy that those that joined could join. And obviously, we're working on our technical aspects of the event, and so far so good. We'll have to double check to see if this went live on YouTube, and let's see if this went live on Facebook. Okay, excellent. So for those of you who have joined us before, for those of you who are new to our site, by way of introduction, my name is Dr. Herman Weiss. I'm an OBGYN. I founded a company called Provation Life, and this company currently is selling inositol plus for hormonal balance in women's health. It's basically something I worked on for my entire career, and I wouldn't say perfected, and you could always perfect something even more, but thankfully, patients who've been using this have been just responding back to me with glowing reviews, etc. So it's been a labor of love, and happy to share it with you. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to continue our discussion from the prior events about the importance of taking supplements and staying healthy and lifestyle changes in regard to hormonal balance for women and for men, and specifically for PCOS and insulin resistance. So if you missed the first episode, you could watch them archived on the Amazon Live and on our website. That's provationlife.com. And if you find this interesting, I recommend you subscribe below. Find out when I will be transmitting live next, so you'll find out immediately when it goes live. So I'll give you a few minutes to log in, and then and as people are logging in, we'll get started and seeing if anyone has any questions. For sure, you can write them into the chat. Now, the only thing is you could always email me on the site on my provationlife.com. Ask questions. I immediately answer them, and with permission, I'd probably bring them into to perhaps some of our live events going forward. So again, if you want to follow us, subscribe below so that you'll always be notified when our next Amazon Live does go live. And so don't mind my looking over here because I have a different screen for any comments. So I'll just keep that going. And if you look at the comment section, you see the inositol 20 is a code that you could use, and it's only active during our Amazon Live events. Okay, so let's get started. All right. So last week we spoke about one of the ingredients. We'll review that as well. As many of you know, PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, affects about 1 in 2 in 10 women in America, about 10 to 15, sometimes even as high as 20% of women in the U.S. Sometimes it's higher in different locations. It's a very common cause of infertility and other health issues. One of the common etiology, causative factors of PCOS is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is where your body makes insulin in response to something that you've eaten, and it doesn't function properly and it keeps pumping up more and more insulin to drive the glucose and the carbohydrates and the energy into the cells that need it. And insulin resistance can lead to diabetes, it can lead to obesity, metabolic syndrome, and it can lead to actually PCOS, as we've learned that 70 to 80% of patients with PCOS, one of the root cause is insulin resistance. So it can lead to very serious health issues. And knowing that it's linked to PCOS, that was where we went after with our supplement. But we do know, and really how it triggered in my head when I developed the supplement was that one of the main reasons that we use a drug called metformin. Metformin is glucophage. It's a drug for type 2 diabetes, and it's very often used to treat PCOS. And we know that it works. We know that the patients ovulate more often when they're on metformin. When they're going through IVF and metformin, they have a more successful IVF courses. And so one of the biggest problems I have is that patients call me, or the pharmacists call me and say, well, this patient doesn't have diabetes. Why are you putting her on, metformin? And it gets a little bit frustrating because, she was put on it for a very specific reason. She's put on it for her type PCOS and insulin resistance. And that's why I wanted her on metformin, and then she starts saying, she gets all upset, I don't have diabetes and whatnot. And so, what I try to do is I try to educate my patients before they take that step, before they go to that pharmacist. And sometimes get a little bit confusing, and sometimes they get the wrong messages. So really, again, you have to educate the patients, and you have to get them empowered. You really want to empower them. You want to give them the right tools to have the conversation and say, well, I don't have diabetes. You tell the pharmacist, I don't have diabetes. The doctor wants me on this medication because it helps insulin resistance, and I have PCOS. And, just to explain, sometimes just so that you're comfortable with the actions and you're committed to that. So education is always important, and understanding, the implications, downstream implications. But a lot of women don't tolerate the glucophage so well. They have a lot of side effects. It goes into the GI system. It has, irritable, not really irritable bowel, but upset stomach. And again, it's not, even though it's all very often used to treat PCOS, and we know that it works, the significant side effects limits its usefulness and is not very well tolerated. But this definitely shows that there's this significant overlap between PCOS and type 2 diabetes. And the bottom line is that the common factor is insulin resistance. A lot of patients with PCOS may develop type 2 diabetes later on in life. They're at increased risk for developing gestational diabetes in pregnancy, and then also heart disease, cardiovascular disease, as well as type 2 diabetes later on in life. Now, we've talked earlier in our sessions about all the trials and the studies that have shown that the lifestyle changes, there's a direct correlation with impact of disease. So if you take any disease, really, hypertension, obesity, cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks, you can impact disease progression, and in fact, reverse a lot of the damage done from a long time, a lifetime of bad habits. And so these lifestyle changes, it's not binary where you do this and you get this. You have to do a lot of little things to impact that change. And diet, nutrition, exercise, we've spoken about quite often in our prior events. And one of the this circle of trust, so to speak, which I tell my patients of diet, exercise, nutrition, and mental wellness and microbiome, and is supplements. And we spoke about this quite often. And so one of the supplements that I've been recommending quite often is inositol, chromium, cinnamon, berberine, turmeric, and so I kept recommending this whole litany, this whole list of different supplements, and then I said, why don't I put it all together and offer it and patients were calling me, when do you have to take it? How do you take it, with food, without food, in the morning, at night? And I was dealing more with questions about the supplements, and I said, why don't I put it all together and put it into one offering so that the patients and the instructions will be on the on the label, so you won't have to worry about taking it at the right or the wrong time. And so what I wanted to do was help make these lifestyle changes that I was encouraging my patients to take and make, and really improve and impact the disease progression, and in fact reverse the disease and make it regress, and give them back some quality of life, and really reverse a lot of the damage done from a long time of bad habits. And even though taking this one supplement is not going to reverse everything immediately, it's going to be one of the steps necessary to enact these healthy habits: the diet, the exercise, nutrition, mental well-being. The right supplements is part of the armamentarium. And so, it's really important to work with your healthcare provider who understands that one size doesn't fit all, and the path to wellness is one step at a time. In future episodes, we'll go into other details concerning additional lifestyle changes that have proven positive effects on PCOS. Again, like we talked about diet and improving your diet, or really targeting your diet and how to eat. We'll talk about microbiome, to name a few of the lifestyle changes. So, back to the supplement that we know can help with PCOS and insulin resistance. And we spent last episode on inositol, which is the most studied supplement in PCOS, and why it's so effective, and why it's so important to take, and how to take it, and when to take it. And really, just to review, it is the most studied one because it's shown such incredible promise for hormonal balance in PCOS and insulin resistance. It's improved ovarian function, improves ovulation, follicular size. It supports weight loss, improves mood. It decreases acne and hyperandrogenism, which leads to improved hair growth where you want it, and hair loss where you don't want it. So hirsutism, it improves as well. And overall improvement in hormonal balance. So inositol is the first one. Today we're going to discuss two additional supplements that are found in inositol plus. The plus is indicative of its additional content. And so two of the most beneficial supplements for insulin resistance are chromium and cinnamon. And why that is because chromium actually has been shown to help regulate blood sugar levels and improve glucose metabolism and improve insulin sensitivity. And cinnamon helps reduce inflammation. So it's an anti-inflammatory in the body and lower blood sugar levels. And both of these supplements can be very effective in controlling PCOS if it's caused by caused by insulin resistance. So what's the scientific and research-based rationale for chromium in insulin resistance and PCOS, you may ask? Well, and this is precisely why I put them in here, is because they were mostly studied looking at type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. Because chromium is an essential trace mineral. It helps the body process glucose and regulate blood sugars. And has been shown that it can reduce insulin resistance and improve glucose tolerance in diabetic patients. It decreased fasting plasma glucose and HbA1c, which is indicative of your last 3 months of sugar control. And it decreases HbA1c levels. It's even increased sensitivity to insulin. And that's precisely the mechanism that helps it reduces symptoms of PCOS. It's been shown to reduce hirsutism because it decreases the androgens and acne and improve obesity control and weight loss. So, chromium is recommended 500 milligrams in a serving, and that's how much we have here. So it's one of those really nice to have things that you don't find in other supplements. And for PCOS, because it's not developed for PCOS, it's developed for type 2 diabetes, and it's especially effective for both PCOS and type 2 diabetes and glucose control. Now, what about cinnamon? Cinnamon caught my eye because there was a few studies that were done on small groups, but 30 to 60 patients with PCOS, and showed that there was tremendous effect on insulin resistance, on glucose control, and ovulation. And there's a number of beneficial effects when it comes to insulin resistance and its natural anti-inflammatory ability. It has some anti-inflammatory compounds and antioxidants that help reduce inflammation in the body, specifically around the ovarian surface, so that pro-inflammatory toxicity that you see, in addition to insulin resistance, is one of the causative factors of PCOS. Now, PCOS we talked about in the past episodes as being caused by 70-80% insulin resistance, another 10 to 15% inflammatory, and then 10 to 15% adrenal, like stress dose, steroids, the cortisol, elevated cortisol, and then they have post pill PCOS. And so, I always say that patients don't live in one silo. They kind of vacillate between them all. So if you're improving your inflammation, and you have a lot of the anti-inflammatory actions going on, and you're improving your insulin resistance, and you're not getting stressed, and your adrenals are under control, then you're going to be doing wonderful for your PCOS. So that's the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory aspect of cinnamon. And so we also see that cinnamon helps regulate blood sugars. It can improve the glucose metabolism. Studies have found that cinnamon actually can reduce fasting plasma glucose and triglycerides and LDL cholesterol, and it actually increases your HDL cholesterol. And so it has been studied in PCOS. It showed improvement in hirsutism and mood swings and acne and improved ovulation. So cinnamon and chromium are both important supplements for PCOS and insulin resistance, and they can help with your blood sugars, even if you don't have blood sugar issues. And they really focus on the insulin resistance aspect of it and the inflammatory aspect of it. So I have been recommending these supplements for many, many years. I put them into the Inositol Plus, because it's really just a absolutely wonderful, to have that, all those aspects. So, people ask me, and people have written to me and asked me, well, why do we need to take a supplement? Why can't we just get it from our normal diets? So what foods are high in chromium? And so chromium can be found in a variety of foods. But the best sources of chromium in a normal diet would be brewer's yeast, whole grains, nuts, seeds, especially Brazil nuts, cheeses, some beef liver, mushrooms, black pepper, potatoes, and fruits like apples and bananas. But again, if you're focused on getting the maximum dose that you can in a purified form, then the supplements are available across the board. And if you're not eating enough chromium-rich foods, then sure, I would recommend taking a supplement. Again, you can find more than the recommended daily allowance of chromium to affect positive change. You can find it in inositol plus. Now, what foods are high in cinnamon? Obviously, cinnamon can be found, an easy one to find in grocery stores across the board, and it is a spice that you can see quite often. It comes in the powdery form. You can find it in essential oils. Some of the best sources of dietary cinnamon include the cinnamon sticks that you often see, or, like I said, the ground cinnamon powder. You can make teas from dried bark pieces or leaves. Chai has a lot of cinnamon in it, and various baked goods. You can bake with it, put it in coffee. Well, the problem with that is that you're not going to get enough cinnamon to affect change. You're not going to get up to the levels that were studied. So you can easily find cinnamon supplements available in any stores, including Amazon. But we do put the recommended allowance here in cinnamon in inositol plus. So just remember that if you want to find enough cinnamon and chromium, you can go and buy the separate ones, or you could just buy one here, and you're going to be getting the inositol and the chromium and the cinnamon, and so that's really critical, because chromium and cinnamon are two of the most beneficial supplements for PCOS and insulin resistance, and they can help reduce inflammation and really improve your symptoms of PCOS and improve your glucose metabolism. And so it's really a important component in this this in these offerings and these lifestyle changes, and they're easy to do. But I just want to make sure that you need to talk to your doctor before taking any supplements. These don't really have, chromium and cinnamon don't have side effects. All the safety is pretty much assured. The FDA approved. But just know that if you're on medications, there are some side effects out there that are potential, and they may interfere with some of your medications or some of your existing diseases. So talk to your healthcare provider. Now, it is important to maintain a healthy attitude. If you start saying that, oh, this is too much, you can't, it's frustrating. You're not going to see immediate results. I had mentioned in one of my prior episodes that I started taking inositol plus because I had 4 patients that called me, and they said, well, my appetite is gone. Is that normal? And so I said, well, yeah, because a couple of these things, once you decrease your insulin levels, once you decrease your insulin spikes, you're going to be decreasing your cravings. And once you decrease your cravings, you actually do amazing, that you're not foraging in the pantry for different foods and different snacks that aren't that healthy, or getting the carbs. And it's hard to find good protein snacks. And so the inositol plus actually decreased my cravings, all these 4 patients' cravings. And then when I started taking it, started decreasing my cravings, which is really nice to see. Lost about 10 pounds since then. And so, it's critical that if your insulin is working better because of these supplements and because of the chromium and the inositol and the cinnamon, then you're going to have a much muted insulin response, because you don't need that much insulin because it's working better. And this is even for people who don't have insulin resistance, and it's just a fact. So it's been going really well. So once the 4th patient told me that she was having a decreased appetite, I said, well, it makes sense medically. So it would be a really nice plus to have. Not only are going to be patients who start to ovulate, menstruating properly, and having all her PCOS symptoms decrease, she is also going to lose weight, and so that's something that has been totally frustrated many patients that eat everything their friends eat, but their friends lose the weight and they don't lose the weight, and they're exercising and doing everything right, and sure enough, they're just having this real big challenge to lose weight. So supplements can help, and that's that's really important to stay the course. So thank you for tuning into today's episode. Subscribe if this is interesting for you in the button below. They'll give you updates on when we're planning our next episode. We'll discuss in the future about the exercise regimens, the mental well-being, improving your microbiome, all these aspects of doable habits that can have a lasting effect and really change who you are from a positive standpoint. So let me just check through all the feeds if we have any questions out there. Okay, so no questions there. And let me just check on the other feed. 1 second. Okay, so yeah. Now, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Provationlife.com. You could reach out and send us an email. Emails are there, and we answer them quite frequently. I mean, quite quickly. And so, yeah, that would be an easy way to get in touch with us. And so, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening. And happy to further engage. So again, don't forget to subscribe. Have a good night.